I know this from being in masterminds that when I'm in a mastermind and I hear people go around and introduce themselves like you guys did this morning, I want to be in all of your businesses and I don't want to own any of mine. So how do you identify the specific targets now that you've found the businesses? Well, first you've got to define what do you want. So figure out the profile of the type of business you want, the category. Is location important to you? Is it something that you want to be close to so you can keep tabs on it? Does the revenue meet your minimum revenue, EBITDA, SDE requirements to make it interesting to you? Is it positive cash flow, or does it have profits but negative cash flow? Because some businesses do. If it has negative EBITDA, then is it negative because it's on an accrual system and they have the money and the cash flow? Because they have to recognize the revenue over time, it looks like it's a loser, and that makes it hard for them to sell. So those are all things to think about. It could be taking out too much money, absolutely. Drawing it down. Growth life cycle, is it in an up or down cycle? Is there a moat? Does it have defensible intellectual property? Does it have a competitive advantage? Does it have a great culture? Is there market cyclicality? Is this a business that is up and down like the construction business? Are there soft assets like a great brand that people like, or they give a good customer experience? How marketable are the assets that are on the balance sheet? What is the supply and demand risk? Is there any chance that your supply might be cut off? Is there somebody that controls the supply? Is this something that the owner owns a vertically integrated businesses and spinning off one of them and now is going to be the monopoly controller of your supply? Those are things you want to think about. We don't do that anymore. Me Too kind of risks going on. And what is the capacity of the business to expand? Because you're going to buy it hoping to grow it. Is it operating at full tilt right now? Or is there capacity so that it can add a shift or do something more to produce more stuff? So once you have that profile, I just fill it out on a form like this, right? So, and you have this. So I just basically go through and enter that information, and that kind of gives me a yes, no. So long ago, we talked about Vinny and the accounting business. So going through this exercise, were we able to find anything for Vinny to buy? Well, yeah. We found, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 21. We found 21 categories of businesses that he could buy that he's now reaching out to. So that's pretty cool. Like if you go through this exercise, you'll go from I have no idea what to buy to I got a lot of ideas. And you want a lot of ideas because ideally you're going to find about 100 potential people and businesses to approach. And out of that, you'll whittle it down pretty quickly to about 20. And then when you start getting into due diligence a little bit, you'll get down to maybe 5, and then you'll end up buying 2 or 3, and then you'll look for another 100. For each of the categories that you identified, talk to all the people that I mentioned, and then build your list and start outreach. So how do you find who to send your communications to at the business once you know that you've got a business you want to reach out to? Well, there's lots of ways. You can call the company and ask who the owners are. That's pretty straightforward and easy, but maybe you don't feel comfortable on the phone. Maybe there's something else you'd rather do. I find the easiest way to identify all of the players is frequently to go to secstates.com, which aggregates all of the Secretary of State's websites. So SecStates will take you to the list of all the Secretary of States. You just click on that, put in the name of the entity. If the first place that I would look is where the thing is headquartered. So if you're in California and the business seems to be in California, then I would look in California Secretary of State. If it's not there, then it should be, if it's operating here, registered, even if it's a foreign corporation, registered here, foreign meaning not in this state. But if you can't find it there, look in Delaware and Nevada and Wyoming. Those are other very popular places to incorporate. And what you'll find on the Secretary of State site is usually the officers and directors. Once in a while, you'll get owners listed, but frequently in small businesses, the officers and directors are the owners. So that would then, they also provide their address, so you can then send a letter directly to the owners at their home address, because that's what they usually provide, and you're not sending them something to the office. They will be frequently surprised and sometimes freaked out that you have mailed them. But if you say the right thing, it's fine. Then you can search the company on LinkedIn. ZoomInfo is another place that is good to check. And then look on the website under About Us, Contact Us Team, because frequently it says, this is Maria, she's the founder of this company, and blah, 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 blah. You can also do a couple of Google searches on the Googles. You can Google business licenses, city and state for the name of the business. You can say business permits, city and state for the name of the business, licenses and inspections, or certificate of occupancy. Those are things you can do. And if all else fails, you can go to Hoover's. Okay? So these are places to find the actual people and their addresses and contact information we're going to reach out to. Now, once you have that, and then Sales Navigator, just to kind of give you an idea, what's cool about it for those of you who don't know, is it's a separate thing from regular LinkedIn, but you can search by keywords and add industries, the geography that you want it to be located in, the seniority level of the people and their role, like their title. You only want CEOs or C-suite people. You can also do Boolean searches with like and or and things like that. And you can search by the number of employees. So all the things that we identified as criteria that we care about, you can search for on Sales Navigator, and it's designed intentionally to allow you to find this information. Then you want to make contacts. So there's a few ways to do that. The best is always a warm intro. So if it's somebody that's anywhere arguably in your network, I reach out to the network and say, is there anybody that knows somebody at XYZ Co? I'm trying to connect with them to do some business with them. I always say to do business with them instead of to buy them. Make a phone call. Just call the person that you want if you've got their phone number and you're good on the phone. You can write a letter. Letters are great because they are usually sent, if you're sending to the address from the Secretary of State site, they're usually being received at home, and they will get attention, and they will also get their attention. LinkedIn, you can make a connection request, or just reaching out on social, finding them and messaging. So I've used all of these. I find them all to be very effective. Now, what do you say? What do you ask? Here's the deal with scripts. They're usually not in your voice. So if you're at a complete loss of what to say, copy mine word for word. But if you read these, they'll give you the gist. And the gist is that you want to come in from the side. You don't want to come on head on at them saying, I want to buy your business. You're a loser. Your business is going out of business, and therefore I'm going to buy it from you and steal it. You want to say something along the lines of, I'm an investor. So think about this like in sections as opposed to doing it word for word. You want to say, you want to personalize if it's on LinkedIn because you want to distinguish yourself from all the spam that people get on LinkedIn, also known as spammed in. So I use their first name, and then I say I'm an investor looking to invest in whatever their industry is, company, so it shows that I have some inkling of what they are. And if you send me letters on LinkedIn, please call me Roland, not Ronald. That's my first pet peeve, right? Located in their geography, and then give some of your things. Your company came up in my research, I find to be very vague. Your company came up in my research. That's how I found you. How'd you find us? Your company came up in my research. Oh, okay, right? Okay. Very few people say, how did you find me? And since you're a blank and I use their title, so it shows I really did my homework, then I'm requesting a connection to see if you might like to chat about the possibility of working together in some way. Okay, so very innocuous. Everything is innocuous. I'm an investor and I want to work in some way. That's probably going to get a response because they're like, that sounds like you want to give me money, right? I like money. The second way would be, I own a business in your industry and I'm looking for a business like yours to refer people to, right? Don't say if it's not true, but that was what Paul and I talked about in approaching somebody, and so that's a very easy way, and he was able to set up a coffee meet with the guy right away, right? Then build know, like, and trust. If anybody has read anything about Tony Robbins or neurolinguistic programming, use all that stuff. When I respond to somebody who sends me a written message, I always look and see what they said. But the others, it's good to respond to them with the same greeting that they sent you. It just puts you in alignment right off the bat. So I'll always scroll up when I'm getting ready to respond and see, are they a hey person, a hi person, or a hello person? Use that kind of mirroring. Obviously, if you meet them, you can use leading and rapport and all that kind of stuff. And then common ground. So asking what their story is, and especially what they love to tell you is the origin story of their business, which you really want to hear. Because you want to know what's their story, what's their pain, what caused them to do this, all of that kind of stuff. And then future pace them for what is the next after this business. Post this business, what are they going to do? Okay? Not that they're necessarily retiring or selling to you or anything like that. Just, hey, what are you going to do when you're done with all this? Or what do you do for fun? Right? What do you do for fun is really good too. I find what would that look like to be very, very good at future pacing. What would that look like causes them to literally imagine in their mind, right? It's like the other person's business is always the most interesting business in the world. Now you know all of the problems with your business, right? But I don't, and then I tell you what I do and you're like, that sounds amazing, right? So that what would that look like is a really good way to get that. This is my knockoff of Simon Sinek's book. I say find their why, not find your why, right? Do they want to invest in the company? That means that they probably want to stay, like if you're saying, if you go in with the investor angle and you say, oh yeah, we'd love to get some money in the company, and you say, what do you want it for? If they talk about investing in the company, they're not yet thinking about selling, but they might want to exit and do other things. So kind of having that conversation to learn what it is that they want is pretty important.